Your students' relationship with the future on one hand, and their, I don't know, their capacity or their interest in cultivating their imagination.
Mhm. Well, I think, I don't want to make any general point about students because they differ enormously, right? Like from one another. I think that if I'm seeing any general trends, one of them is our students seem more anxious than they have in the past. And I think that a big part of that is kind of their interaction with the world feels more mediated, right? And I teach one type of mediation. I like to actually focus primarily on cinema in my classes. We consider other types of mediation, of course, because our movies are about that very often because our students encounter the world through their computers, through social media, through AI, through all of these new models. And it feels like that has made them more anxious. It might have also made them a bit more knowledgeable, and that knowledge could be the source of the anxiety. I'm not entirely sure. I think that there's certainly a knowledge of being more controlled and more surveilled than I felt I know when I was their age. Uh, I always think we're almost the same age. You remember basically when we were in high school, Facebook was just getting started at that point, and we had a bunch of other social media networks, but it was still relatively early days. When I was in college, people would post things on Facebook, kind of like assuming
Innocent,
privacy that you would never, ever, ever do these
allow
days.
yourself to.
And it felt like it was simultaneously, right? Like that's a more risky environment, but it's also a more genuine environment where people feel like they can express themselves without having that worry of I'm being watched, I'm being turned into a consumer, I'm being advertised to. Uh, a state might get access to this information and use it in some way, right? Like a political party might get a sense of what my personality is, target my anxieties in a particular way, right? All of these things they were sci-fi, they were speculative future at that point, and now they feel like they're very much a part of our students' day-to-day life. And we have not figured out a way to deal with it socially at scale. I think, individual people can have figured out ways of dealing with it. Uh, there's a huge divide right now, for example, in the United States between children in sort of less well-to-do families who get raised by media and children in wealthier families who, you know, don't even get handed a tablet until they're 10 because the parents don't want them to go down that path of kind of like interactive addiction and UX wormhole madness. And I really, really think that's where a lot of the stuff that we can't institutionally deal with at scale. We don't have the political willpower. It's too difficult and too complicated to do at scale in institutional environments. So then our policies tend to not account really for these huge differences in how people end up living through the world, experiencing the world, and being controlled by our devices, our institutions. And that's the thing that is, it always feels like it's in the background of my interactions with my students. It's something that's almost impossible to deal with directly. I try to talk about it in class a little bit. I definitely talk about it when I talk to them about AI and how I think that that is affecting their education. Essentially, it I try to I try to use analogies to have them think through it, right? Like, would you learn math if you were handed a calculator from the first day of your existence, right? You're a driver in the United States, you can probably not drive a stick shift. You're gonna be dealing with a problem when you go to other parts of the world, right? There are all these ways in which we've de-skilled ourselves with other technology. Some of them are actually desirable because we can't all have every single skill, and specialization and de-skilling are part of an advanced economy. It's just there are some trends that I'm seeing here at scale that I think are leading to more anxiety in our students, and I think we are not dealing with in any real way, right? Like the ways that universities are dealing with this right now feels to me like it's primarily about compliance and about trying to draw in essentially sponsorship research funding, right? So you have this dual pull where on the one hand most faculty are worried about the students' educations and how this stuff is being integrated into our society essentially without much thought behind how we're integrating it. And on the other hand, right, that university function of making sure you have enough money to teach whatever is new on the market because there's desire for that and because that's the only way that you can prepare people to be part of that economy, right? So you don't want to be falling behind. You also, I don't know, don't want to integrate things just in terms of commercial resources and how they want to shape people as consumers. I've been in this position with the large class for a while now. Every year I have various kinds of like tech vendors trying to pitch me on using their product. And it feels like it's all about
Like a teaching service product, a platform kind of things.
uh, AI grading products, AI feedback products, various types of teaching products. Hey, write a textbook on our platform so you can charge students, right? Like through our platform and you'll get some of the money, right? Like all of these different ways of kind of looking at the students primarily as a consumer base. And universities do the same thing to their students as well. Uh, as a faculty member, I feel like I have a separate set of priorities, right, that I have to hold on to. But at the same time, of course, the market-based priorities have to be part of it because otherwise we're all falling behind. We're not interacting with the real world. So I think, you know, that is what's getting muddier and more complicated by the year.